Hello and welcome back to Honors Bio. So in this video we're going to cover genetic drift and gene flow. So let's get right into it then. So up to this point we've been talking about natural selection and evolution and it happening in very specific ways, right? Like natural selection acts on purpose, it acts on traits. So it's not up to just random chance. It's traits that are favored or not favored in an environment and in an ecosystem. But there is an element, evolution can be random flow. And that's through genetic drift and this concept of gene flow. So let's get right into it. So we had to talk about the gene pool and genetics here because genes are what drives the whole thing. Even natural selection, right? Because natural selection acts on traits, and how different organisms get traits is by their DNA, by the genes that they have. So we call all the genes, all the alleles in a population, we call that the gene pool. Here's all the genes in this population, right? And of the gene pool, we're going to have different varying amounts of alleles, right? If we take fur color, if we have 3 different fur colors, let's say green, purple, and red, those allele frequencies are going to change, right? The percentage of those alleles are going to change. You may have red and purple may be super high, green may be low, and that may change over time. And that's what we refer to as the allele frequency. Is how common is this allele, this gene in a population. And genes can enter and leave for many reasons. But when it's not changing, when these frequencies are not changing, when it's pretty steady all the way across the board, we say that the population has reached genetic equilibrium. It's steady, it's not changing. Now again, if the environment changes, those frequencies may change then too. So genes can enter and leave through a couple of different reasons. And this is a concept through genetic drift. So genetic drift is when gene frequencies, the allele frequencies, changed by random events in populations. So diseases, natural disasters that happen, like a flood or a forest fire, right? Flood or a forest fire, that's not subjected to natural selection, right? It's not selecting for slow or who's camouflaged better. It's just wiping out everything. So with genetic drift, what it's saying is that, well, if this is our population of frogs and all the red frogs somehow die, if they disappear from this population, well, all that's left is the green and yellow frogs. So that's going to change the frequency of the green and yellow alleles in this population. Now, genetic drift can happen in one of 2 ways. The first way it can happen is a bottleneck effect. So what we're doing now is we're tying the concept of variation with population size. And that's what really genetic drift is saying. So genetic drift is saying that we can lose genetic variation for small populations. Small populations are at a really high risk of losing genetic variation. And if they lose that, then they lose their ability to survive changes, right? They lose this genetic diversity, so if the population change, or if the environment changes, they're not going to be able to keep up with it. So and that happens one of 2 ways. One is the bottleneck effect, where we reduce the population size for at least 1 generation, typically through a natural disaster of some sort that wipes out huge numbers of a population. What that looks like is this is what the bottle effect looks like. So in the original population, the parent population, we would say there's an even number of blue and yellow beads. You may even say there's more yellow beads than blue beads. Well, through some event, some random event that reduced the whole population, we're only left with a few individuals. Well, just by chance, we have mostly more blue individuals than yellow individuals. So then these individuals are what's going to set the the gene pool for the next generation. So the next generation, we get more blue than yellow marbles. So because of that, what we also can get too with this is it promotes inbreeding, right? So these individuals may be related somehow, they may be siblings or cousins. So because of that, then we get inbreeding effects, so the genetics become more uniform. If there's any deficiencies or genes that aren't favored for, they become more common. It's a bad way all around. So the second way that genetic drift can happen is through the founder effect. And the founder effect is it's still the same concept. We reduce the genetic variation, but it's because a small subset, a very small number of a larger population is used to establish a new colony, a new group of organisms somewhere else. How that works is like, so the population has yellow and red beetles somewhere else, and some stroke of luck, by some chance, red beetles made it to this island, and only red beetles made it to this island. When this island is only going to have red beetles, and they suffer from the same problem as what the bottleneck did. Is because a small subgroup, we're promoting inbreeding, which we're going to lose genetic variation line. It's this same idea here, with the rabbits cross the river. If only the gray rabbits cross the river, then this population only have gray rabbits. So that's how. So genetic drift is especially dangerous to small populations because they don't have a large gene pool to begin with. So they really have to be careful not to lose anymore. Then we have gene flow, which all gene flow is saying is that genes enter and leave populations when members enter or leave a population. Because each member has its own unique set of genetics, right? All of us have our own unique set of genes, our own unique set of traits, and combinations of that. So in this example, if this yellow butterfly were to leave this population, well, we've lost the genes, or the individual has lost the genes from this population. Its genes are no longer in this population's gene pool. But when it moves into this population, when this population of orange butterflies has gained this individual's genetics, the yellow butterfly's genes get added to this population's gene pool. So it's really immigration and emigration. Individuals entering and leaving a population are going to change just the gene pool of that population. Genes flow is all that's saying. Just a little bit about artificial selection on top of it too. So in artificial selection, we choose individuals for certain traits for breeding. We see that a lot in dogs, fruit, vegetables, livestock. And because of that, oftentimes with artificial selection, things become more uniform. We go through a genetic drift because we're selecting for traits over and over again. And so we're reducing variation by making a species all resemble one thing. And that especially is dangerous to our agricultural products, fruits and veggies, because we've done that a lot with corn, wheat, and rice. But artificial selection, the classic example of it is with dogs. Dogs descended from, our modern day dogs descended from wolves, and then we just selected for different traits. Like Labrador retrievers are perfect for duck hunting because they have waterproof fur, so they could swim out. They're well-tempered. They're not sensitive to loud noises. So there's that. The companion dogs that are smaller and more suitable for, living indoors or carrying around in a handbag and things like that. And then, so we selected for traits in dogs to fulfill certain roles in that environment. Same thing with plants, with fruits and veggies, right? All of these plants, all these veggies that we eat, have come from the same parent plant. We just selected for different traits over and over and over and over again. Well, by doing that, we've made all of these uniform. So broccoli, like all the broccoli plants, there's very low genetic diversity in there, which is good because we learned how to maximize crop yield, right? Like broccoli, there's low genetic diversity. It's good we maximize crop yield, we get a lot of broccoli per one plant, but it's bad because if a disease comes in, it can wipe out our whole broccoli population. So there you go. There's gene flow and genetic drift and a little bit on artificial selection. If you have any questions, let me know. Other than that, I'll see you in class. Bye.